Welcome back to the channel, guys. I've got a good one for you today. Here I'm with one of my subscribers from the US, from Boston. His name is Jeff. He has been here for 1 week, guys. So this is his 1 week review here in the Philippines. And before he got to the Philippines, he actually was in Thailand for 2 weeks. So we're going to ask some questions regarding his Thailand stay and then get straight into the Philippines. So take some time here to introduce yourself to us, Jeff.
Hey guys, my name's Jeff. I'm from the Boston area, as Britt said. Just getting myself international, leaving the U.S. here just very recently, and really excited about doing some international travel, checking different places out, and wanted to make Cebu one of my early stops.
Okay. Now, you stayed in Thailand for 2 weeks, correct?
Yes, Thailand. So I was in the Phuket area, which is in the largest island in Thailand, is called Phuket. So it's in the southern part of Thailand, and it was beautiful, lots of beaches. Actually, every kind of beach you can imagine. So if you want a party beach, you got that. If you want a quiet, private beach, you have that option. If you want a little bit more of a, relaxing beach, it's a little bit more, quiet and things like this, you can have that. So many different beaches and different things to choose from there.
Now, you've been there for 2 weeks. Did you get to explore a lot? And what are your final thoughts when you're actually thinking, now you've been here for a week,
yep,
but being there for 2 weeks, what were your final thoughts when you actually got to the Philippines for the first time? What are your final thoughts on your trip to Thailand?
Yeah, sure. So I've been to Thailand before, a bunch of years ago. I was in Bangkok, this time obviously, and now in the beachy area of Phuket. Phuket was great. So and Thailand in general is great. There's a reason why it is a very popular destination for expats, for folks from all different countries, from Europe, from Australia, you name it. It was very international crowd there, if you will. So I noticed a lot of Russians there. I noticed people from Europe, again, from all over in the Phuket area. A lot of them were on vacation, so it was a touristy area, to be quite honest with you. But again, people go there for beaches, they go there for the food. The food in Thailand is some of the best. There's a reason why almost every major city in the world has Thai food restaurants, and it's because the food is amazing. Right?
So I'm guessing one of the pros of the Thailand happens to be the food.
Yeah, food for sure.
Or do you have any other pros to put with that, or do you have any cons you can put with that as well?
Yeah, I saw a lot of smiles. People were very friendly. So the people were very accommodating, very inviting, if you will, to foreigners and people visiting. I stayed at I would call it like a small family-owned hotel. So you got very personalized service and things like that. That was very nice, very lovely. There's quite a bit of walking to do around Phuket. I was a little bit away from the beach, so I would walk there each day. I went to the beach every single day.
Big pro.
Yeah, that's a big pro. So their beaches are great. The people are great. The food is great. But, and every place has its pros and cons, right?
Yes.
So, as many people have said, the language is very good here in the Philippines.
How was it in Thailand?
The dating and the ladies and things are very good in the Philippines, which we'll get to, and they are.
Yep.
In Thailand, the English is definitely less, but again, being in a tourist area, the English was, what I would call, and some have called, sort of tourist level English.
Okay.
So it was good enough for a tourist to get by, fine, no problems, easy to point things out on menus, easy to ask for places to go in a taxi. Most people know the destination names and things like this, right? You're not going to have any kind of a long conversation with anyone in Thailand for the most part.
Okay.
So,
that's a con.
Yeah, I would say that's a con. And actually, language was has been a big topic from my time coming over here to the Philippines. So maybe a good time to just put. I don't think people have quantified the language strengths and weaknesses of different areas, and I'd like to maybe do that for you and the viewers.
Okay.
So if on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 is like someone, maybe in London or Harvard University level English, and a 1 or 0 is basically no English. I would say Thailand is probably a 2 for the most part.
Okay.
And interestingly, I had heard nothing but incredibly good English over here in the Philippines. And, I found that there's certainly English everywhere, but my first few interactions were challenging here in the Philippines, English-wise.
Okay.
And so I'd give the Philippines so far, and I've been here a week, I'd give the Philippines so far maybe about a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, for English. So definitely there's English. It's choppy with many people. It's not a primary language, it's a secondary language, maybe even a tertiary language over here. And so that was just a little bit of a surprise to me. That's why I wanted to share it, because I had heard so much about the English in the Philippines, English everywhere, English. So I'm thinking, wow, it's going to be a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Correct.
It's not a 7 or 8 out of 10, guys. I would give it a 4, and I would probably say a 4 is tops.
One of the main things, actually, I spoke to him about this briefly before. Taxi drivers happen to be the worst here in the Philippines. That's when it comes to the English language. The taxi drivers happen to be the worst, and at least in my experience. I think he experienced the exact same thing. So that kind of gives you guys a heads up when you get over here and you're getting your first taxi. Look forward to having a language barrier there when you're talking to your taxi cab driver.
Yeah, and it might just be easier to get a Grab, to be quite honest. Everyone is 100% right. Grab is the app that I heard it from so many YouTubers and things, so I downloaded Grab and Bolt, got them set up before I came over, and that was a godsend. Having Grab ready to go, you definitely want to do that.
Yep. Now, you were there for 2 weeks in Thailand. You've been a week here in the Philippines. A lot of the viewers out there, they want to know about the cost of living. Have you been here long enough to give a comparison between what you saw in Thailand and what you see here in the Philippines?
Sure. So I've actually stayed in 2 different places in just the 1 week I've been here. I'm actually still paying on the first place, but it was part of the rough start that I had starting here in Cebu, to be quite honest. So I started at Avida Reala Towers. You've probably heard from in some other videos. It's not necessarily the most recommended place. I would certainly not recommend Avida Reala Towers. They're so big though, and they're right in Cebu. There are a lot of people that go there,
yes.
A lot. And I've run into many people around that I've introduced myself to or just started conversations, and they're saying, oh, I'm staying in Avida Reala Towers. And I said, well, how have you found it? And they say, not really good. And I found my unit in particular was terrible. I had to contact the host, I think 3 times. They sent people to fix a number of things. And in the meantime, I met some expats out. They recommended a great place for me to stay. And I've already now booked a whole month at that second place.
I believe that's Stay City?
Yeah, so Stay City, is right beside IT Park. So you're right in sort of the action of IT Park. But I will say, just in all fairness, they are down a bit of a rough road from IT Park, but you just walk up that road. There's all sorts of little street vendors and local shops and things. It's a bit rough. I mean, Chad Foster, literally did a video recently where he walked up that very street, and he said it's a little bit rough around the edges, guys, and he's 100% right. It's a little rough around the edges, but Stay City is a brand new condo. It's quite nice. It's very quiet. That's a big thing, because I've heard about some other condos that they can be quite loud depending on what level you're on and things like that.
What floor.
That there's noise and things. Stay City is nice and quiet. It's about my rate was 25,000 pesos for a 1 month stay, and it's a month to month lease that I signed. So I can come and go in any month that I want.
Okay. Now, a lot of guys are out there telling me they're finding online that the pricing at Stay City is $900 per month when they're going online. Again, I had explained to you guys in past videos, and again, I did a video on Stay City, and I'll tell you about the pricing there, and a lot of guys say, well, I don't see that online. You're looking for short term, so you're looking at short term pricing. As you can tell here from Jeff, the pricing for that is around $25,000. So again, that's within the realms of where I was telling you guys before in the previous video, and you'll actually see that the longer you stay, the better your price becomes. So again, I appreciate that pricing analogy. And definitely, yeah. And the other thing is, I don't want to mislead anyone. I'm not necessarily planning to stay at Stay City forever. Yes.
I'm actually, as a matter of fact, this week I'm going to go look at another place, and I don't want to overcommit. I want to try different places and kind of try them on for size and see which places I like before I were to commit any longer.
Okay. Now again, Jeff had some difficulties when he first got here. Had some language barrier issues. What other issues did you have? I know you had some issues with your first condo. Mm-hmm. Again, you had to deal with some maintenance issues and not having the correct information inside the condo unit once you got there. Yeah. Besides that, any other cons?
No, actually. So my 2 biggest cons were the challenge I had with the first condo.
Okay.
As we've already covered. And then I would say from a language barrier perspective, there is still plenty of English around here, guys. So again, I don't want to mislead anyone. But about my first 6 to 7 interactions were rough.
Okay.
They were challenged. For example, I went to Avida Reala Towers to check in, went to the desk where you check in, and I asked to check in, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And so I'm thinking, where is all the English here, right?
Correct.
And so so that was an interesting experience. But my first 6 or 7 interactions were like at the airport, in the taxi, at Avida Reala Towers, talking with the security guard, asking where the mall was. He didn't know what I was talking about. Out at my first restaurant or two, and then everything started getting a lot better.
Okay.
I have also been spending a lot of time in and around the mall area here at Avida Reala, Avida Central Block, I should say, in IT Park.
And Ayala Central Block.
Yes, Central Block. Yes, thank you. So I've been spending a lot of time there, and so the English is quite good in this whole area because there's a lot of expats and things like that. Okay. Some great food, a lot of people watching to do and things like that, and yeah, it's been good.
Now you've been here for a week, and we started off on a rough patch. Since that rough patch, how have things changed since your rough patch?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a couple of things that you hear a lot is join up with some expat groups and get some friends. I cannot stress that enough. That has been incredibly impactful. Hanging out with Britt and some of his expat friends. I joined even before that. I joined 2 other expat groups. I found these guys on Facebook, but also I was in Starbucks Coffee, and I had a local expat from the U.S. see that I was shopping condominiums because I was so unhappy with the first place that I was at. And he said, look, you might want to consider this place Stay City, blah, blah, blah. We get talking. He invites me over, looks at his place, and we become very good friends. And so I joined his expat group on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Definitely get WhatsApp. That's another must-have app. We've been getting together. That group, we've been getting together every single day doing something, either breakfast, dinner, going to, see something or what have you. And so definitely get a group of friends started. It just forms a good social base, right?
It does.
Yeah.
I had told the guys, and again, you guys hear in past videos, how important it is to have a friend and or friendship base over here in the Philippines. It's very important because, again, there is a slight language barrier. And when you have other expats or other foreigners to talk with on a regular basis, it simplifies things, makes things a lot better than what they could be. So again, always look into meeting new expats and new foreigners here once you get here in the Philippines, and it makes for an easier road for you.
Yeah, and one of the other huge benefits, guys, is, when you first get here, you won't know the restaurants to go to and things like that. These expat groups will tell you the real deal, right? They'll say, look, you want to go to this restaurant if you want sushi. If you want American and Western food, you want to go here. If you're looking for entertainment, you want to go there, or what have you. So you start to get the kind of the rules of the road set, and you kind of, will quickly learn where to go and where not to go very, very fast. So I cannot stress it enough. You definitely want to connect with the expat groups. But the other thing that I did was I connected with some pickleball groups.
Yes.
So I'm a pickleball player. And I've connected with a pickleball group here on Facebook. And by the way, if you just put in pickleball in Cebu, you'll find several pickleball groups right in there, right? And so you just connect with them and start chatting with them or whichever. And so that's exactly what I did. I got together. They actually they invited me to play once. They wanted to scout out my level of ability. And then since then, they said, you can come back and play with the advanced group. So that was very nice of them. But very good group of people, and we've been getting together at City Loft Condominium, which is a little south of here.
Okay.
So I take a Grab for about 12-minute ride. And
how much does that cost you?
The Grab, good question. The Grab's like $4 or something like that.
$4, guys.
Yeah, like so $4, and I'm there. I go to the roof, and they got it covered. It's exposed to the outdoor temperature, but it's covered, so you're not in the sun. Makes a big difference.
Now, do you pay for this?
Yeah, so it's about 150 pesos. So
for 4 hours, 4 hours of play.
Yeah, I'm playing for 4 hours. Some people play for 2 hours, 3 hours, and leave. So 150 pesos, what is that, $3, something like this?
Correct.
So for $3, you're playing with a bunch of people, and you're just constantly playing. And trust me, you're going to sweat your cojones off, guys. I sweat over here, and I probably haven't fully acclimated, right? But I sweat a lot because obviously it's hot and humid. So bring a lot of electrolyte water and a good towel and things like that.
Now, out of the two, out of Thailand and out of the Philippines, which are you leaning towards, and why?
So yeah, good question. To be honest, I'm just kind of scouting and trying things on for size.
Okay.
So I don't know if I want to be constantly moving, or if I don't know yet if I want to have a base and then travel from that base.
Correct.
I'm still,
That's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no right or wrong, right?
Correct.
I've spoken to expats here, and some will do a base and travel, and some will just keep on the move. And so it's kind of up to you what's your style, if you will. But what I have heard from a number of people that have tried both is that eventually the slow travel, where you're moving, you're at a place for a month and then you move, eventually it gets to you, and eventually that gets a little tiresome.
Yes.
I've heard that consistently from a number of different expats. So that's good input from people, right?
Okay.
So I'm considering everything.
Okay.
Whether I want to set up a base. I don't know that I found my base yet in Stay City. Maybe. It's good for a number of things. It's a lot quieter than the first place. It's nice and new, and there's a lot of good things there. Anyway, so yeah, I want to see if I can set up a good base. But to me, there's a big question mark, which is, do I find someone to date?
Correct.
And if I find someone to date, and if I were to be serious, and if I want to travel with that person, then, or if we want to base here and be here most of the time, that is probably going to steer me one way or the other.
Okay. Now, as far as you're talking base about females and Filipinas here, have you had any luck so far? Have you met any Filipinas?
So my very first, let me give you that little story. I haven't even told you yet. So my very first time, I got to the condo. I asked where the mall was. I finally got that. I got here to the mall. I went right to Jerry's, and I had a lunch, right? So I was dead tired, whatever, long trip, right? And I had a lunch, and I'm right beside a table of 4 young Filipina girls, and they were eyeballing the hell out of me. And so they kept giving me the eyeballs and all this, and I'm sitting there chuckling to myself because you hear about all this kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not rushing into any sort of relationship, to be quite honest with you. Just left a relationship, and I am not rushing to get into another one. Now, I've heard different things in terms of quality of the ladies and the dating and things over here. There's many videos that'll say it's the most unbelievable thing in the world, and there's others that I had heard more recently to my travels that said the quality of some of the clientele maybe have come down. Well, on the plus side, let me tell you, there's plenty of very interesting, very lovely Filipino ladies, very beautiful, and they're all lovely. They're all sweet. They all will give you smiles. They'll talk with you if you're talking to them. So that is not overstated. There is a lot of opportunity here on the dating scene.
Okay. What about, we talked about some of their cons you had. What are some of the pros you're seeing after being here for a week?
Yeah. So many pros. Many pros. Okay. So the hub or the mall areas create a great hub.
Okay.
So from people watching the restaurants, entertainment. There was just a great concert here right at the mall, right? And then the very next day it was at the other Ayala Mall.
Correct.
So great big concert there, got lots of people. There's all sorts of activity going on. I've been to Sugbo Mercado, outdoor street market, for food and things. Lots of people to see there, lots of kind of activities, and there are a lot of people here. This is definitely an attraction. A lot of people that work in this area, a lot of people that travel through this area or just stay in this area for, it's a good expat community here. There's been a lot of pros in terms of, I've now found some really great restaurants.
Okay.
In the beginning, you're just kind of bumping into and getting different things. You land up.
You find a good one by mistake.
Yeah, you find a good one by mistake, or a couple that are not, or whichever. But I'll tell you what, it is such a great thing to meet a group of friends. And we're out. I think it was last night at the social, until pretty late over at Ayala Central Block Mall, or Ayala Center Mall. And met the owner of the social, met a bunch of different people, and a lot of good folks here. So from on the pros column, the people are phenomenal.
Yes,
the people are just great. And to be honest with you, it's one of the biggest draws here.
Yes, to
be honest, yeah. There's a lot of good food here. Again, the malls are a hub where the malls in the U.S. have come and gone, and they've dwindled. Many of them have closed. They're a little bit of a laughing stock in many cases, the malls in the U.S. So don't think of the malls here as like the malls in the U.S. The malls here are just these centers where people congregate. There's air conditioning. First of all, guys, that is a big deal, that you can get out of the heat and humidity. You can get into a beautifully air-conditioned building. It's a brand new, beautiful building. Lots of people to see, lots of shopping to do, lots of restaurants inside the mall, outside the mall. There are atrium areas with lots of restaurants, coffee shops everywhere. And by the way, the coffee, phenomenal. I was a bit of a coffee snob, I'll be honest, in the States, and the coffee here has been wonderful, really good.
All right, well, we want to thank Jeff for coming on the channel today. Appreciate his time. And again, he is a champion, moved here from the States, from Boston, and we want to say thank you to a champion indeed in Jeff. So again, thank you guys for tuning in to today's broadcast, to this viewing channel. And again, to my champions, you guys are the greatest. And until next time, I love the Philippines.